welcome back to my channel. I'm Lily and today I'm going to be doing a book haul, which is really exciting. I've only done one before and these are, I think I've got like 12 books, I'm not sure. And these are all books that I picked up since my last book haul in September, so a month and a half-ish I think. All of them are secondhand from charity shops or clearance sales, apart from two which I got new because they are new releases and I was very excited about them and I pre-ordered them months and months and months ago. One of those only arrived this morning, and that is of course The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night by Jane Campbell. I'm very excited to read this book. Jane Campbell actually ran a kind of a competition thing a while ago where if you'd pre-ordered the book you could send her an email and she would put you in for the runnings for one of the proofs. But everybody who'd sent her in confirmation that they'd pre-ordered the book got sent like a letter with a little snippet of one of the stories, and I got a snippet from called Plum Pie, Zombie Green, Yellow, Bee, Purple Monster, and it was an amazing snippet, so I'm pretty excited to get back to that story and also to read all the others. I've heard so many good things about this. Last night I also signed up to one of Jane Campbell's poetry writing workshops, which I'm quite terrified about but quite excited about. I've not done anything like that before, and definitely not since uni, being part of like a group of writers and discussing things and each other's work and things like that. So, but yeah, looking forward to that, looking forward to this. And the next book I pre-ordered is of course The Book of Dust, which I'm a little way in. I've been reading it very slowly, trying to savour it, and I'm quite pleased that most of the people who I know have got this book in terms of booktube and are reading it are also reading it really slowly. It's very different from the whole Harry Potter thing. When the Harry Potter book came out and everybody read it in the first day and you had to read it in the first day too or everybody would spoil it for you. This book's completely different. It's been out like a week now, maybe a bit longer, and I've heard nothing about it. It's wonderful. So I'm reading it at my own pace. I'm really enjoying it. It's so nice to return to this world. So those were the two books that I got new. I pre-ordered them months and months and months ago. Jane Campbell's book turning up this morning was quite a surprise because I don't think it's actually released until next week, but I'm not complaining at all. So all the next few books are all of the books that I'm going to be talking about now. They're all secondhand. They've all come from charity shops in the last couple of months. The first one is Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. I recently read The Good People, which I think is her second book, and I wouldn't say it's an enjoyable book. It's quite a dark topic to be enjoyable, but the writing was certainly enjoyable. She was very beautiful writing, very vivid, very aware of nature and of characters and people and characterization and drawing out all these things. It was a lovely character study, but I think it was a bit for me to enjoy, I guess. But this one sounds quite intriguing as well. It's set in Northern Iceland in 1826, 29, 20, there we go. 1820, it's set in Northern Iceland in 1829, about a woman who's condemned to death and she has to live with a family for a while before she's killed or something. I'm not sure, but it sounds quite intriguing. I've heard kind of mixed reviews about it. Some people are saying the Good People was a lot better, and I can certainly see how it might be because I think a lot of research went into that book. It was very well written. The next book is one that I found by chance. It's a little bit battered. I think it was falling, some of the pages were falling out a little bit. This is Heft by Liz Moore. Liz Moore's The Unseen World was one of my favourite books of this whole year, I think. It might possibly be the favourite book of the year. We'll see how Book of Dust goes. And this, I think, was her first novel. I'm not sure. But all I really know about it is it's about a very fat man who makes a kind of sentimental but unsentimental journey, which sounds quite lovely. And I adore Liz Moore's writing. I adore her exploration of character and the way she just constructs story around life. It's just brilliant. I could read her writing for forever. So I really want to get to this one pretty soon. But with non-fiction November coming up, it might be a December read. And it does look like it's a kind of autumny winter sort of book, so that might work out quite well. The next book is also one I don't really know much about. The blurb doesn't give much away. It's called The Minnow by Diane Sweeny. And this book I remember, oh, it's lovely and floppy. Oh, look at that. Oh, love it. And this one, I remember looking up, somebody was talking about it years and years ago, and I put it on my wish list on Amazon, and it just stayed on my wish list on Amazon. And I saw this in a charity shop, and I thought, oh, I recognise that one and I'll get it. And it's about a girl called Tom. A flood has taken the lives of her parents and sister. And that's really all the blurb kind of says. It talks about some other people, but not really in terms of telling me what the story is, I guess. So this one I'm quite in the dark about. I love the cover. It's all pastel-y and kind of, you can tell it's been done like proper art. The next book is Ali Smith's Autumn, and this one I got in a Waterstone sale because it's unfortunately quite damaged. Somebody's scored across here and gone through several pages. So I got this one for £1. This one I've heard a lot about, a lot of really good things about, but it just never struck me as my kind of book. So I didn't really pay much attention to it. I didn't really consider picking it up unless like it was just there in the library and I'd be like, oh, I'll read that now. It's supposed to be very, very modern, about Brexit and things like that I think interest me in a politics way, but not in a do I want to read about that in a book way? Not really. So this one might take me a while to get to. I am intrigued to read it. I'm just kind of a bit hesitant. I'm just like, I'd rather read about history. So, and the one book I have read by Ali Smith, I enjoyed the writing and I enjoyed her humour, but the story just and the character didn't really connect with me at all. So I'm a bit dubious about this one. The next one is also one that I've heard quite a bit about on BookTube. It's called Music Shop by Rachel Joyce, and this one I think is a kind of a love story. It's set in 1988 and about a man who owns a music shop. But I really want to read her first book, The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, before I read this one, because lots of people really, really highly praise the Harold Fry book, and I like to read things in order. I think going backwards into an author's history can sometimes be a bit so I would love to read that book first and then move on to this one. Next book also came from clearance. I think this time it was W.H. Smith, and that is The One and Only Ivan by Katherine Applegate. And this book I have already read. This is one of my favourite books of last year and I've been dying to find it, and I was so pleased to see this. And it's not damaged or anything, so I have no idea why it was in the clearance. But this is such a beautiful book. This is a children's book. It's very, very sparsely written, everything's spaced out, big text, lots of space. But it is so perfect. Like, there is nothing in excess in this book. There is nothing that you could add to this book. This book is just as perfect as children's books get. It's wonderful. I think if you've got a child who really, really loves animals and nature and just wants a bit more depth, like it's such a simple story but there's so much emotional depth in it. It's so wonderful. Give this to all your children. Read it whether you are a child or an adult. I just this book is wonderful. I recommend it to absolutely everyone. The next one is a kind of classic book and it's called A Pharaoh's Arms by Ernest Hemmingway. I haven't read any Hemingway since I was at uni, so I'm quite keen to get into this, though the font is very small. Oof, need my glasses. This one I think is just your kind of typical war story, but I think it's more centred around Ernest Hemingway's own experiences during the war. He was in ambulance service. Yeah, he was in the ambulance service. So I imagine it'd be quite harrowing, lots of detail about injuries and such. I'm not particularly into war fiction at the moment, which is unusual because normally I'm up for war fiction no matter what time of the year it is or what mood I'm in. So this one I'm hoping to get to maybe in December, but I'm not quite sure. I've got a few other books that are also set in the same kind of era but I'm a bit more excited about, so and I think that's the next one. So the next one, no, this one's set in 1788, so quite a lot beforehand. I don't actually know much about this one. It's called The Lieutenant by Kate Greenville, and in 1788 Daniel Rook sets out on a journey that will change the course of his life. Oh, whoever wrote that blurb, why use those words? Anyway, as a lieutenant in the First Fleet, he lands on the wild and unknown shores of New South Wales. There he sets up an observatory to chart the stars. But this country will prove far more revelatory than the stars above. Based on real events, the lieutenant tells the unforgettable story of Rook's connection with an Aboriginal child, a remarkable friendship that resonates across the oceans and the centuries. That sounds quite sweet. So, yeah, not sure what to expect from that, but I really, really love the cover. I love the detail of the stars and the maps in the background, and oh, yes, lovely cover. The next one, and I'm also a bit dubious about, and that's Death Sentence, a novel by David Lodge, and I literally picked this one up simply because it's got a deaf character. But upon looking a bit closer, it's actually somebody who is going deaf rather than has lived as a deaf person throughout their life. So I'm unsure about how good this will be as a representation of deafness and for deaf people. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what to expect from this one. I haven't heard anything about it. We'll just see how that one goes. I think it's supposed to be quite funny and awkward, but I'm not sure if that's in a negative make fun of deaf person way yet. If you've read this book, maybe let me know what your thoughts are on representation and any issues in this one. The next one is also a book I was quite pleased to find because it's quite a new release and it's quite popular, and that's The Dark Circle by Linda Grant. And this won the Orange Prize and was shortlisted for the Man Booker, and also I think shortlisted for the Bailey's Women's Prize for Fiction. So everybody's been talking about this book. I think for the early part of the year I was seeing it on like all booktubers channels everywhere, and it sounds quite intriguing. I think it's more of a character study set in the 1950s in a sanatorium where several people just kind of do their thing. I'm terrible at book blurbs about books I don't know. The next one I picked up on a whim. Oh, and it's also very floppy. Look at that. That's wonderful. This is The Zookeeper's Wife, a true story of an unlikely heroine by Diane Ackman. And this one I picked up actually because I've been listening to the soundtrack on loop for a characters playlist for part of what I'm writing for several months now. So I've got the whole soundtrack in my head, and this was like, oh, it's a book as well. So yeah, it's definitely a film, but it's also a book. So, and this is about Germany invading Poland and evacuating the city zoo and then hiding Jewish people there to protect them from the Luftwaffe. However you say that. But yeah, so this is the one I think I would read. This is one I really want to get to in December. I love a good kind of World War II story, and this one sounds quite exciting, and I'd also quite like to see the film because I've been like completely entranced by the soundtrack. So if you like soundtracks, check out that one. It's really, really nice. And the last book is The Orchard of Lost Souls by Nadifa Mohammed. I'm not completely sure what this book is about. I know it's set in Somalia in 1988 and involves a woman who has left a refugee camp and also a soldier who's involved in trying to squash rebellions and things like that. So this one just sounds really intriguing and engaging, and about a corner of the world I don't really know much about. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. This one will hopefully, I've got a big TBR for December. This is what happens when I take a month off to read only non-fiction. I just get this massive, I will read this in December, I'll read this in December. So this will hopefully be another December book. Yeah, so, and this one's got a really beautiful cover as well. I'm a sucker for covers. So that was my book haul for the last couple of months. If you've read any of these books, let me know. I would love to hear what your thoughts are. If you would also like to read some of these books, also let me know, because I will squeal on with you about how excited I am about some of them. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you're all having a great week. It's half term for me, so I've been quite lazy but also productive. I've been making quite a lot of things, and I've been making a new quilt. I've also been doing writing, which has surprised even me. So I've been editing my incredibly overwritten novel, and trying to cut words out. but actually adding more than I've cut. So it's not going so well, but I'm hoping that by the end of half term I will have a somewhat better draft than I had before. That is all from me. See you all again soon. Goodbye. Do I? We'll start that one again. It's not a wrap up. It's not a wrap up. What is it? It's a book haul. That's what it is. It's a book haul.